What's going on, guys? My name is Dan Davis, and today we're checking out the Crucial X9 Pro SSD, which is a tiny solid-state drive. I'm checking out the 4 terabyte version. This thing is unbelievably tiny. Here's my iPhone 14. That's how small it is in comparison to an iPhone 14. This thing is minuscule, but it's unbelievably powerful and it's durable as well, which is phenomenal for people that want to travel and back up footage on the go. Let's say you're a photographer, let's say you're into your drone stuff, maybe you're into traveling. This is ideal because you can back things up on the go, 4 terabytes. It's got such a fast read-write speed. And again, this thing is very durable. It's dust resistant, and it's got a bunch of other stuff that we'll get into. I will have some links below to check out the X9 Pro, but one thing I want to mention is the read-write speed. So it's rated at 1050 megabytes per second for both read and write speed, which is blistering speeds right there. That thing, you can't even see it, just disappears. So I tested it out on a MacBook Air, my partner's MacBook Air, and I found it to be really fast. Like, we copied a 4 gigabyte file and a 6 gigabyte file, and it did it within literally a few seconds. Now, when I tested the speeds, it was getting anywhere from like high 800 megabytes per second for both read-write to the lower to midpoint of 900 megabytes per second, which is insane. It's obviously rated at 1050, and that will depend on your setup. It will depend on the USB-C port that you're using, as well as a few other factors. So this is the USB-C to USB-C that it comes with. It's actually quite a nice cable, perfect length on it. And you plug that straight into your device. I went from a MacBook, like I said, a MacBook Air, to my Windows computer. For my Windows computer, I had to use an adapter here to go into USB-A, and that's where things slowed down a fair bit. So that's where the bottleneck came. But just keep that in mind. Like, it depends on what your setup is. It is still a phenomenal system, regardless of what speed you're getting from it. But I found that with the MacBook Air, getting those 900 megabytes per second speeds, being able to copy 6 gigabyte files in literally a few seconds was insane to watch. The unit itself is dust, splash, and drop proof. Now, it's really durable. It's got a great build to it. It's got a thin, lightweight metal on the front, and then on the back, it's got a grippy rubber. So that's ideal if you want to almost mount it onto the back of a laptop, for example. I'm sure you can get different mounting options there. It just grips onto any sort of surface you put it on. And the fact that it is drop proof, like, I can attest to this. I have dropped it and it is fine. Plug it in, it's ready to go again. It's splash proof, especially when you've got the cable plugged in, the USB-C. There's no exposed areas. So it will take any sort of splash. If you accidentally drop some water on it, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine if you drop it. And it's also dust proof as well. So you don't have to worry about any dust getting in there and damaging any of the internals. The other thing I really like about the design is this little like hooped section that's not even really a hoop, but this little section here that's kind of see-through. That's actually where the light displays when it's reading and writing. So straight when you plug it in, it will light up, it will let you know, okay, we're plugged in. And then straight when you're copying, it will start flashing, but it's very subtle. It's not in your face, it's not too obnoxious, which I really like about it. It's a subtle little thing that just gently kind of flashes to let you know that it's copying files across. So I love that. And then it also works as something that you could loop through some sort of rope or lanyard or something like that, and then attach it onto your bag or to whatever it is that you want to attach it to. So that works as a double option there. It works as the display for the light, as well as a little loop section or a hoop section to, you know, connect it into whatever bag or travel accessory you're taking with you. I'm constantly copying over 4K files all the time, and to be able to get 900 megabytes per second speeds, both read and write, is phenomenal. The thing that's amazing as well is you can use this for your editing workflow. So if you're editing photos, if you're editing video files, this is going to be able to keep up with you regardless of what you're doing. So you can run all your programs, your photo and video editing programs, directly through this SSD. You could have the program running from the SSD, and you could have your files on the SSD. It's just going to be able to keep up with you no matter what you put it through. I found that I had no issues with any performance when I was playing around with this unit, and it really is ideal for any sort of workflow. If you just want an SSD to back up your files, it's great for that sort of scenario. But if you also want to run things off this unit as well, you can run software, You can keep up with that editing flow if you are using, huge 4K files. It's going to have no issue with the reading and writing when you are rendering videos, when you're editing videos. It's going to keep up with you. I also love how it's compatible with literally any device that you can imagine. You can jump from your phone to your tablet, your iPad, your Mac, your PC, whatever it is that you have, as long as obviously it has a USB-C or you have an adapter to go from USB-C to USB-A. It's going to work with anything. It was in the exFAT format immediately when I got it. So I plugged it into a MacBook Air. It was fine, it read it, everything copied across perfectly fine. And then I plugged it straight into my computer after I'd copied a few files over. Again, it reads everything fine, copies everything across, no issues at all, which is really good for that peace of mind. I will say that when I was running it on my PC, I did have some slower speeds, significantly slower speeds, but that's more so a limitation of what I was doing on my computer. So I'm using a USB-A, which, whatever, it's outdated, I guess. I didn't have a USB, or I don't have a USB-C port on my computer, so I have to go with an adapter, USB-C to USB-A, and then plugging that USB-A into my computer. I was getting around 40 megabytes per second when I was copying files across. Again, for me, not a huge issue. I'm used to that with other things when I'm copying across it. It's, relatively okay for me in that sort of situation. But just keep in mind what sort of workflow you have, what ports you have available to you. I found that those speeds getting into the 900 megabytes per second, I could not match on my PC purely because of the limitation of using an adapter and having a USB-A port instead of a high-speed USB-C port. But straight when I put it on the MacBook Air, because I swapped them back across, again, replicating those speeds of 900 megabytes per second without any worries, and I could copy files across within seconds. There's also an option to protect your data with password protection, and it has 256-bit AES hardware encryption, which is very nice to know for your safety. The other thing, just to add on top of the whole durability side of things, so it is water and dust resistant, which I mentioned before, but it's also drop proof up to 7.5 feet. So 2 meters drop proof, and I dropped it just before, completely fine, no issues. It was about a meter and a bit just from the computer as I knocked it across. No issues, and I can guarantee that it's going to be able to get knocked around and you're going to have no issues with it. So the Crucial X9 Pro portable SSD is exactly what you need it to be. It's a tiny portable SSD with a bunch of different options. You have different sizes, so you can go with a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, or a 4 terabyte. I've got the 4 terabyte here. Obviously my files are huge that I'm transferring across. So this is great for people that have lots of video files, lots of huge files that they want to run off their SSD. Simple, very fast, super durable, got a bunch of compatibility with all sorts of devices, and it's perfect for traveling. So definitely check out the Crucial X9 Pro, a phenomenal portable SSD. Everything will be linked below, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Peace.